Hello everybody and welcome back to another modelled writing video. So today we are looking at two task 2 questions. They're the longer essays that you'll have 40 minutes to complete. And as we go along today, we will be thinking about our plans. We'll be talking about how to approach these different essays, and then we'll do the write-up itself so you can see how we will, as if we're in the exam, how we structure it. And along the way, there'll be tips and tricks on how to get the higher band scores, which is what we're after. So if that sounds good to you today, then stick around and hopefully you find this helpful in your IELTS preparation. Alrighty, well, let's get started with the first topic, which is going to look at this idea of creativity. We'll look at the question. Many people believe that young people are more creative and innovative than adults. Do you agree or disagree with this view? Give reasons for your answer. Okay, so the first thing that I see is the type of question. Do you agree or disagree with this view? So we want to either agree or disagree for this one. We're not being asked to what extent, so we're just going to take one side. And of course, we'll give reasons for our answer. So this is a slightly different worded question, but we'll still approach it in the same way. Okay, so let's think about our plan then. So we have two paragraphs, paragraph 1, paragraph 2 for the main body. Of course, we have our introduction, and then we have our conclusion as well. So this is an opinion question. Do you agree or disagree with this view? Let's have a think about some ideas. So many people believe that young people are more creative and innovative than adults. Okay, so I would say that definitely for at least one paragraph we can agree. I'm thinking about this line of technology, the fact that young people have grown up in this age where there's opportunities to create things without, out in your free time. You don't have to be. You can come home from school. Most people have access to technology in some form, and so kids these days are programming. They're making games. They're doing all sorts of things that involve creativity and innovation. They're starting things that could lead to businesses. It's sort of limitless, really, with technology. So we can talk a lot about that maybe in our first paragraph. Technology. It creates sort of limitless. You can train in areas. You can gain skills. Kids can to then allow for creativity. So if they learn programming, then they can create apps, for example. Limitless, gain skills to allow for creations, e.g. programming, apps, for example. These are just your notes, so you don't have to worry too much about making them neat. This could lead to all kinds of different opportunities. You could use the internet to market your business idea. Perhaps you're a creative person. Maybe you make things. Maybe you want to sell them online, like Etsy. So there's all sorts of things we can talk about for technology. Okay, so then our other paragraph, I think I'm also going to agree for the reason that young people have more time than compared in the past. And there's a few reasons for this. So, for example, less responsibilities. Responsibilities. There's a trend as well. In the UK, for example, there's a trend of young people living at home for longer because house prices are notoriously difficult to, or they're getting higher, and it's well known that it's quite difficult to get onto the housing ladder, if you like. So more people are at home and perhaps looking for outlets, or they have more time because the the household is being taken care of perhaps, and so they have this opportunity um to be more creative, less responsibilities, more young people at home. That leads into more time. More people than before are going to uni, which for many courses provides them extra time. More people at uni and opportunities to explore and do different things at university. And another reason that people might have more time than adults is because, well, less young people are having, this is quite a vague word, young people, but people are having kids later and later. So there's more time for you to develop ideas and pursue hobbies, having kids later. And then once you have kids, then there is less time to pursue this side of life. Okay, so we're going for technology. We're agreeing for wholeheartedly here. And we're going to talk about technology and the fact that there's more time. And these two reasons in combination allow for creativity and innovation with young people. Young people, quite vague. This could be kids, this could be young adults, maybe. We're not too sure here, but we can argue for in general for this one. Okay, then, so let's just write a note about our conclusion to keep us on track throughout the essay, because that's something that we are going to be critiqued on. Okay, can we stay on track? Can we keep our argument throughout? So I wholeheartedly, that's a nice way to completely agree, wholeheartedly agree. And we'll just leave it at that. And of course, in the write-up, we'll elaborate on this, but this is perfect for your notes. You'll have this in the exam, so you can make them yours, and you won't be marked on your notes, so you can, jot down any ideas you have. This is a nice way to structure your notes, I think. But of course, whatever works for you. Okay, so we have lots of ideas. I think it's time for the write-up. And the first thing that we need to do for every essay, whether it's task 1 or task 2, is to paraphrase. Really important skill for IELTS. So we want to write this sentence in our own words. Many people believe that young people are more creative and innovative than adults. Okay. So we could say it is a widely held opinion. Widely. And we're always checking our spelling here. That's me typing too fast. We're always checking our spelling as we're going along, because spelling is a big part of the marks as well. So you might think, oh, I don't need to go back. It's really important to double check your work, even triple check for these mistakes, because they small marks, but they make a big difference overall. Okay, so it is a widely held opinion that the young people, maybe the younger generation, are more creative and innovative. Now, they're quite similar words, but they do have different meanings. Creative, can you create things? Can you build things out of use your imagination perhaps? Maybe we could say are more imaginative. So we're thinking of synonyms now. Imaginative and innovative means to think outside the box to create something that's not been done before. A more imaginative and maybe a more imaginative and innovative, entrepreneurial, slightly different meaning there. Creative, we've used. More imaginative and how to say thinking outside of the box in a maybe we could say that and tend to think outside the box or to push boundaries maybe or to push outside the usual boundaries more than the older generation. Let's see how we feel about this. It is a widely held opinion that the younger generation are more imaginative and tend to push outside the usual boundaries more than the older generation we've used, more than older groups, perhaps. More than older groups. Okay, I think that's good. Now we can go into what the essay is going to do and our opinion. So I wholeheartedly agree with this statement, and this essay will outline the reasons for this. I wholeheartedly agree with this statement, and this essay will outline the reasons for this. Okay, so there we have our introduction there. To the point, not too long. We've paraphrased and we've stated what we're going to do. We've got our opinion here, which we're being asked for, and we're going to talk about, we've set up that we're going to outline the reasons. Okay, so we are ready, I think, to go into our first reason, which is all about technology. So let's do a nice opening topic sentence to guide the examiner and really show them what we're going to talk about here. So, one of the main, we've used reasons, main arguments for the growing, or for that we've used younger generation, or younger adults. One of the main arguments for younger adults being able to maybe flex their creativity, more than others is due to the fact that technology has enabled them to develop skills which maybe in the past weren't as accessible, like programming, for example, which in the past were not as accessible or maybe well known or prevalent in society, maybe were not as we'll leave it as accessible. Okay, so let's go into, maybe we can use this programming idea. We can go into an example and just explain a little bit more. So programming for instance, is a tool which kids are now very familiar with. Is a tool which kids are now very familiar with more than ever before. This tool, so of course, we're not talking about technology, we want to aim it back to creativity and innovation. This tool allows for future ideas, such as apps or perhaps games, such as video games, to come to life. So they can use programming to create bring their ideas to life. This tool allows, we've used tool actually, this skill allows for future ideas such as video games to come to life. So, for example, more people are able to bring their ideas to the forefront, and this is allowing for much more creativity, thinking about outside the box. There's lots of different people within the community who are offering something. This skill allows for future ideas such as video games to come to life. So, growing up now, there are so children can or creators maybe creators or maybe anyone can become a creator in some format. Another example being YouTube. That's a classic one. Another example being YouTube, and we want to say that this is pushing the creativity and innovation, maybe doing things that have never been done before, doing things that have never been done before. Therefore, done before. In other words, we want to say that we want to bring it back to the question now and say that this idea of creativity and innovation is more prevalent. Otherwise, there is much more ingenuity, maybe. I'm not sure if that's the right synonym. There is much more, or there is a bigger space for unique and for unique new ideas, maybe. Let's read this back and see how it's sounding. One of the main arguments for younger adults being able to flex their creativity more than others, or maybe more than slightly older people, more than older people maybe, is due to the fact that technology has enabled them to develop skills which in the past were not accessible. Programming, for instance, is a tool which kids are now very familiar with more than ever before. This skill allows for future ideas, such as video games, to come to life. Growing up now, anyone can become a creator in some format. Another example being YouTube, doing things that have never been done before. In other words, there is a bigger space for unique new ideas, maybe where the community is learning from each other or learning from one another. Is maybe constantly learning and learning from one another. So things are very new and fresh all the time, and people are thinking outside of the box here. Okay, I think that's good. So we've got our first argument, the fact that maybe we could be more specific with our topic sentence actually and say that then older people is due to the fact that technology has enabled them to develop skills and we don't want to, we've used bring ideas to life. Put their ideas out into the world, maybe. Put their creations out into the world. One of the main arguments for younger adults being able to flex their creativity more than older people is due to the fact that technology has enabled them to develop skills and put their creations out into the world. Programming, for instance, is a tool which kids are now very familiar with more than ever before. This skill allows for ideas such as video games to come to life. Growing up now, anyone can become a creator in some format. Another example being YouTube. Let's do a full stop there, maybe. Another example is being a YouTuber, maybe. Being a YouTuber. Maybe we can be more specific. Producing videos that you have control, you have complete control over, autonomy over, and you can do anything that you have control over, and in theory, do anything, and in theory, you are limitless. So your creativity can, there's no boundaries. In other words, there is a bigger space for unique new ideas where the community is constantly learning from one another. Okay, so you can see how we've gone back in, we've tweaked a few things, made it sound a bit better. That's really important, checking for grammar, things like this. I think that's good, a good first paragraph there. Okay, well, let's go into our second paragraph, which is all about time. So let's link it to this first one. When young people have access to not only new technology, but also as a society, they have more time in general than they have more time in general. This breeds this combination. It breeds we're just thinking about synonyms here. We don't want to repeat ourselves too much. Um, this combination breeds maybe innovation, um, uh, maybe entrepreneurial ideas, maybe um, um, fascinating, or maybe this combination leads to intriguing results which um, maybe break the norm, or let's read this back. When young people have access to not only new technology, but also as a society, they have more time in general, this combination leads to intriguing results which break the norm. Okay, so let's talk about less responsibilities, more people going to maybe we'll start with more people going to university. So generally, more students are entering university than before. So young adults, we want to make sure that we're answering the question here. Young people and adults, we could say young adults have more have chances to hone their skills within a maybe creative degree, such as be graphic design. So there are more opportunities to go to university where you can think about these skills a little bit more as well. We could even say there's just more time in general. So additionally, let's use a nice linking phrase there. Additionally, some subjects such as, I don't know, history have little contact hours. Therefore, students can indulge their hobbies. Indulge their hobbies. Okay, their creative hobbies, maybe. Okay, so that's our first example. Maybe we can lead into the fact that more people are living at home as well, so there's less responsibilities and more time to have these outlets as well. As a society, particularly in the UK, let's do a nice linking phrase here. Moreover, as a society, particularly in the UK, there is a tendency for young people to stay at home for longer and have less responsibilities. This leads to more chances to have a creative outlet, or even an entrepreneurial. This is a tricky word to spell. Entrepreneurial endeavor. For example, selling homemade items online. There we go. Let's read this back and see how it sounds. When young people have access to not only new technology, but also as a society they have more time in general, this combination leads to intriguing results which break the norm. Generally, more students are entering university than before, so young adults have chances to hone their skills within a creative degree, such as graphic design. Additionally, some subjects, such as history, have little contact hours, therefore, students can indulge their creative hobbies. Moreover, as a society, particularly in the UK, there is a tendency for young people to stay at home for longer and have less responsibilities. This leads to more chances to have a creative outlet or even an entrepreneurial endeavour, for example, selling homemade items online. Okay, I think that's good. We've just read it back and double checked everything. So now let's tie this all together with our conclusion. So, in conclusion, it is clear that the younger the person is, the more technology and time is available. Maybe more technology is utilized and utilized and time is, and maybe they are less perhaps time poor. That's a phrase being used, time poor. Therefore, this combination allows for greater development of maybe fascinating pursuits. In conclusion, it is clear that the younger the person is, the more technology is utilized and they are less time poor. Therefore, this combination allows for greater development of fascinating pursuits or of interesting pursuits, maybe. Okay, I think that's good. Let's count the words and see how we're doing. Okay, so this comes to 310 words. Oh, so just over the 250 minimum there, but that's okay. There's no upper limit, so you can, if you're a fast writer or typer, then that's okay. You can see how we've structured it in 2 clear paragraphs. So of course you can then adapt this to you, and I'm sure you have maybe different examples that you could use, or a different maybe idea for the paragraph, but nevertheless, at least you've seen how we've been doing that today, and you can adapt it to your essay. There we go. Okay, well, with that being said then, let's go to the next essay, and it's going to look at education, quite a popular topic. Some people argue that governments should provide free education to all citizens. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this view? Okay, so we've got a to what extent question. So that means we can either agree wholeheartedly, for example, like we did in the last one, or we could completely disagree. Or for this one, we can, in fact, agree and disagree, because we're being asked to what extent. So, how much do we agree or disagree? And this is another opinion question. So, we want to make sure that our opinion is clear, stated throughout the essay. Okay, then, so let's have a think about this a bit more with the plan. Some people argue that governments should provide free education to all citizens. Right, well, my initial thought is that we can agree for this one. Let's just note that down. So agree. We want to say that, well, I'm thinking we could say free education should be part of, it should be a basic, almost a human right. It should be a if education isn't free, then what else could be could this lead to? You know, if one thing isn't free, then maybe, for example, in the UK, healthcare is free at the moment, but then that could lean towards becoming not free, and the disparity between the rich and the poor could become even bigger. Um, so let's just make a note of these. It should be a basic level for everybody. It should be a human right, if you like, and if a gap between rich and poor. We can either argue that if it is free, it would be closer, or if it's not free, then um, it would grow wider. Grow wider. Perhaps other services, if it doesn't become free, perhaps other services would cost, e.g., healthcare, for example, like in the UK. I know in most places it's not free, but the NHS is free for the most part. Okay, so that's our first sort of argument that it should be installed in society. If this is not free, then other things will start slipping, and the gap will become wider and wider between the rich and the poor. Okay, so I think we can agree for our second paragraph. And I'm going to go down the line of, well, due to the cost of living, which is particularly high at the moment, inflation, general daily costs are very on the high end all around the world. If education is not free, then children might be left out of education. So parents might not be able to afford, left out of education. And what would happen if children are left out of education, lead to more issues in society, more problems, such as maybe crime, general unrest, resentment in society, maybe other issues. School is more than just learning. School is a safe environment. School is a safe environment for children where they can grow and develop. And without this could lead to many problems in society. Okay, so agree that for our conclusion, just to stay on track, education should be free. Free for all. Okay then. So that's our line of action here. So let's go to our write-up. And of course, as always, we need to paraphrase this sentence here. Some people argue that governments should provide free education to all citizens. There is a belief that nations or that institutions that pass laws should or are expected it's okay should offer free or free should offer learning to all, to society, at no cost. There is a belief that institutions, or maybe law-passing institutions, should offer learning, offer the chance to learn, should offer the chance to learn, offer society, that sounds a bit better, the chance to learn at no cost. Okay. There is a belief that law-passing institutions should offer society the chance to learn at no cost. Let's state our view. I completely agree with this viewpoint. And in this essay, I will examine reasons as to why. Okay, I think that's a nice introduction there. Straight to the point. We've paraphrased and we've stated what we're going to do in the essay. Okay, so let's start off with our first agree. It should be, we can say, human rights. So free, maybe the primary reason is or maybe it is clear that free education should indeed be a human right to all. That's a strong topic sentence there. And it's okay that we've used the words from the sentence as long as we're not repeating ourselves too much. That's the most important thing, I think. So it is clear that free education should indeed be a right, human right to all. Okay, so let's think about we want to talk about if there's not free education, then what would happen? In a society where education is a product in which consumers purchase, so it becomes something for sale. In a society where education or where schooling, maybe schooling is a product in which consumers purchase, this leads to a severe divide between the rich and poor factions of society, of the community. So the people who can afford it will be going to study. Maybe actually we can leave this to later. These two, yeah. In a society where schooling is a product in which consumers purchase, this leads to opportunities being held by, opportunities being taken by only the wealthier groups in the community. In a society where schooling is a product in which consumers purchase, this leads to opportunities being taken only by the wealthier groups in the community. In turn, it is only the maybe upper classes that are represented in society as the lower classes we're not able to progress educationally. And in the end, a severely divided nation is left where the gap between rich and poor factions grows even wider. Okay, so we're talking about the divide in society growing bigger and bigger. Now we can maybe briefly mention that if education is not free, then this can lead to other aspects of human rights becoming not free. So furthermore, other services that should be a right should have or should allow free access, such as healthcare, such as the healthcare system in the UK, maybe the NHS healthcare system in the UK. Furthermore, other services that should allow free access, such as the NHS healthcare system in the UK, might follow this lead of maybe privatizing and start charging money. This ripple effect could lead to the less financially secure members not being able to partake in many aspects of society, this ripple effect could lead to the less financially secure members not being able to partake in many aspects, not only education. Okay, so that's our argument that education is one thing. This could lead to other things, and it could get worse and worse. It is clear that free education should indeed be a human right to all. In a society where schooling is a product in which consumers purchase, this leads to opportunities being taken only by the wealthier groups in the community. In turn, it is only the upper classes that are represented in society, as the lower classes were not able to progress educationally. In the end, a severely divided nation is left where the gap between rich and poor factions grows even wider. Furthermore, other services that should allow free access, such as the NHS healthcare system in the UK, might follow this lead of privatising and start charging money. This ripple effect could lead to the less financially secure members not being able to partake in many aspects, not only education. Okay, so then let's talk about the problems that these members of society could face if they can't access education. So, in a state where there is a cost to learn, this could lead to, or this could result in many problems arising. So children Children who cannot go to school. We can talk about due to the cost of living crisis, for example. For example, creating even more barriers to for example, create even more financial. Children who cannot go to school due to the cost of living crisis, for example, creating even more financial barriers, will find themselves more likely to face issues when growing up. It might be easier. We could talk about them falling into crime. It might be easier for them to fall, easier for them as they are resentful and frustrated because they can't partake. Frustrated. They are resentful and frustrated, to fall into crime. For instance, to fall into crime. Okay, so this could lead to other issues like crime. We want to say that school is much more than just learning and free education. It's a safe place where children can grow, they can socialize, they might get free school meals, they might get, maybe they have a disruptive home life they can get a break from. So it provides much more of a lifeline for a lot of children, not just education. School and higher learning facilities like universities. Offer much more than grades. They provide a safe space where children can grow, socialize, learn, and find their place in the world. Perhaps free lunches are also provided, as well as a break from home, from perhaps maybe a home life which could be disruptive. Let's tie this all together now with just a sentence to say, if there is a bill to enter these places, this will alienate a large portion of people and lead to a plethora of problems. In a state where there is a cost to learn, this could result in many problems arising. Children who cannot go to school due to the cost of living crisis, for example, creating even more financial barriers, will find themselves more likely to face issues when growing up. It might be easy for them, as they are resentful and frustrated, to fall into crime, for instance. School and higher learning facilities like universities offer much more than grades. They provide a safe space where children can grow, socialise, learn, and find their place in the world. Perhaps free lunches are also provided, as well as a break from maybe a home life which could be disruptive. If there is a bill to enter these places, this will alienate a large portion of people and lead to a plethora of issues. Okay, I think that's good. Let's go to our conclusion. In summary, free an education to become educated at no cost is vital, as this maintains a lessened gap between the rich and the poor, as well as ensuring children or ensuring the younger generation are given the same opportunities and start in life. To avoid problems later on. Or maybe which helps in avoiding societal problems like crime later on. Let's read it back. In summary, to become educated at no cost is vital, as this maintains a lessened gap between the rich and the poor, as well as ensuring the younger generation are given the same opportunities and start in life, which helps in avoiding societal problems like crime later on. Okay, let's count the words of this one. Okay, well, a bit of a longer essay there at 355 words, but you can see how we've structured it. And of course, you're welcome to adapt this to your own examples. Maybe you could cut a couple of examples out of here if you wanted to shorten it. But this is a good structure to follow, and hopefully you've gained some ideas for not just this question but both questions today. Hopefully that's been helpful, and we love to hear from you, so let us know if you've got any questions or comments, and we'll see you in the next video.